content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to Millennium News 24/7 Daily Local News Update. I'm with you, Jasmine McTague, here live from Jersey City, New Jersey, watching the news headlines. Now, details at this time. First story. The probationary firefighter at the beginning of his FDNY career tragically died Friday after suffering a medical episode during a training exercise. Vincent Malvalu, 31, was on the job for less than 6 weeks when he collapsed Thursday at the FDNY Academy on Rundle Island. The CBS 2 Kevin Rickon reported. FDNY's Commissioner Daniel Nigro said Malveru never regained consciousness and died early Friday morning. His exact cause of death is under investigation. He started to feel sick. He passed out, lost consciousness. We have an paramedic ambulance on scene. He was immediately treated and transported right here to Harlem Hospital, said Nigro. Malvaru, who is from Brooklyn, was taking part in functional training, skills training, which Nigro called strenuous. He was doing fabulously at the academy, extremely fit. His marks were good. He was enjoying what he was doing, Nigro said. Even though Malvaru was a probationary firefighter, his death was mourned across the department. Outside of Harlem Hospital, Malvaru's body was taken by the ambulance to the medical examiner's office to determine the cause of death, which has only been described as a medical episode. Firefighters lined the streets to pay their respects to Malvaru. Inside the hospital, doctors tried their best to save him. And now to story 2. New details are emerging about a violent robbery on the doorstep of Los Angeles home, in which the victims were beaten and robbed of jewelry and a large amount of money. Police said the robbery happened on the evening of November 26th at the home on Fuller Ave in the Wilshire neighborhood of Los Angeles. LAPD detectives learned of video circulating on social media on December 2nd and contacted the victims to take a report. The victims had walked home after dining at a restaurant in the area, police said. As they got home, several suspects wearing vests with the word police on them and displaying some type of badge showed up. At least one had a handgun and another was armed with a rubber mallet. In the video, they are seen confronting the victims. pointing a gun at them, and at one point punching a man several times. They forced their way inside the home, where there were additional people already inside. They continued to assault the victims and eventually stole property that include jewelry and what police described as large amount of money. And now for story 3. Atlanta police has released more information about the crash near Selvin Road and Dill Ave on Friday afternoon. Police say 24-year-old Jeremy Tremaine Ford refused to stop for police on the North Side Drive. He took off and police chased him on several streets. At one point, Ford drove into oncoming traffic weaving through cars. He then ran a red light and hit a Subaru Forester. After that, he hit a Toyota Corolla and caused it to overturn, according to police. Ford then tried to run away after coming to stop, but was taken into custody. All occupants of the two vehicles he hit were taken to Gardy Hospital. Ford was transported to Atlanta Medical Center for medical clearance before being transported to Fulton County Jail. Ford is facing 3 counts of serious injury by motor vehicle, DUI, felony fleeing, and reckless driving and speeding. And now for story 4. Miami-Dade school police are searching for missing Miami Central senior high school student. The search is on for a 16-year-old Evelyn Moadi Avila. Police say she hasn't been seen since November 30th. Avila was last seen wearing green Miami Central senior polo school shirt, a black sweater, and black jeans. She stands about 5 feet 3 inches tall and has a black hair and brown eyes. Anyone with information on her whereabouts is asked to call Miami-Dade School Police at 305-995-COPS or 305-471-TIPS. And now, a short break from our daily English news of Millennium News 24/7. Stay tuned.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to Millennium News 24/7 Daily Local News Update. Here's our story 5. Forget about cataclysmic converters. Crook could be moving on to your vehicle's taillights. David McCarroll told ABC 13 thieves stole the taillights not only from his own Ford F-25 pickup truck, but also from another vehicle Thursday morning on the Edlow Street in Greenway Plaza. It's frustrating, as you can imagine, said McCraver. He said as soon he discovered how pricey those taillights can be replaced. I'll be honest, when I first saw it, I thought that was no big deal. That's not a big expense, said McClaver. After doing my research and talking to the parts folks at the local dealership here, it's $1,083 per tail light. Over at the Pautos Collision and Mechanical near Rice Village, owner Michael Pautos said he hadn't heard of taillight thefts yet. He imagined, though, it would be a matter of time. He said those taillights are pricey for a reason. Nothing surprises me anymore. If they can steal it, they're going to steal it, said Pautos. They have a module built into them for the lane departure, so you get a computer with your taillight. And now for story 6. James and Jennifer Crumbley, the parents of a teen charged in the Oxford High School shooting, were located and arrested early Saturday in Detroit after citizens saw their vehicle and called police. Yes, they are both in custody and will be on the way to Oakland County Jail soon, said Oakland County Under Sheriff Mike McCabe. Kudos to the Detroit PD and all the other agencies that assisted. Police arrived at the scene and in the area of the 1100 block of Bellevue near East Lafayette about 10 p.m. or 10:30 p.m. Detroit Police Chief James White told reporters about a 3 a.m. Saturday morning. It is believed that the Crumbleys facing charges of involuntary manslaughter connected to the Oxford High School mass shooting in which their son is accused were let into a commercial building by someone, White said. Police know who that someone is, and those who aided the couple could face criminal charges, White said. The Crimbleys were found hiding inside and were distressed, White said. They were unarmed. He said security videos had helped officers by revealing one of the Crimbleys entering the building. And now for story 7. A trial date has been set for Pierce County Sheriff Ed Troyer, who has been charged with 2 misdemeanors over his confrontation with a black newspaper carrier, according to Seattle Times. Troyer faces a count of false reporting and another count of making a false statement to the civil servant, claiming to an emergency dispatch that newspaper carrier Cedric Althemir threatened to kill him during a January confrontation. The charges were filed in Pierce County District Court. If convicted, Troyer would face about up to 364 days in jail and up to a $5,000 fine, according to the release of the Attorney General. The charges stem from a criminal investigation that Governor Jay Easley referred to the Attorney General's office on April 24th. Althemir was working his regular delivery route January 27th when Troyer began following him in his car around 2 a.m. Althemir continued working the route, noticing that a car was following him. After stopping at a house, Althemir approached the car to find out why he was being followed. Althemir went out to the car and began talking to Troyer, whom he did not recognize as a sheriff. He asked Troyer if he was a cop, and Troyer did not identify himself as law enforcement, according to the AG's office. Troyer continued to ask Althemir questions and accused him of being a thief, document says. Althemir returned to his car and drove away, and Troyer continued following. Now for story 8. John Zip Connolly can thank Congress for his move to Massachusetts. In the interstate compact between the Bay State and Florida State, the ex-FBI could relocate here because he is retired with a pension and can support himself. The Herald obtained a compact via a Freedom of Information Act request. He kept his pension despite being convicted of second-degree murder in 2008 because of Congress passed the HISS Act in 1954 that allows lawmakers and therefore federal employees to keep their retirement benefits unless convicted of espionage or treason. The act is named after Alger Hess, a former State Department official convicted of perjury for his alleged involvement in a Soviet spy ring before and during World War II. Unbelievable, said Mary Callahan, whose husband was killed by mobster James White's Bulgars gang in the case that landed Connolly in the Florida's jail. They're always covering their backside, she added Friday night. I've called the FBI countless times trying to get my husband's gold Rolex back and all his papers. They're taking care of their own guy, but I can't afford a lawyer to fight them. The Interstate Compact was signed by an 81-year-old Connolly on October 28th. It states termination of supervision. It is set for December of 2047. The former G-man wouldn't see that day. He is on home confinement with his wife and can only leave for medical appointments. Congress is also exempt from Obamacare because they have their own health insurance, Mullane added. Members of Congress are also exempt from inside trading. There's more, but he made the point. Now,
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
welcome to Millennium News 24/7 daily local news update. Now here is our story 9. French President Emmanuel Macron met Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman on Saturday for the final leg of a 2-day Gulf tour. Concerns over Iran's nuclear program, The multiple crises in Lebanon and the ongoing war in Yemen were expected to be aired in private by both sides. Earlier in the day, Macron was in Qatar, where he told reporters that France and a number of European nations were considering opening a joint diplomatic mission in Afghanistan, but stressed it would not mean recognizing of the recognition of the country's Taliban rulers. He also said he would be raising the issue of Lebanon with the Saudi crown prince, particularly the importance of standing by the politically deadlocked country as it careens from one crisis to another. In Saudi Arabia, Macron met the crown prince in the Red Sea city of Bidayah, where the kingdom is in the midst of hosting its first ever Formula One race and pop concert by Justin Bieber, despite calls by rights groups for a boycott. It's the latest push by the young crown prince to showcase the social reforms he ushered in and been hailed for. Simultaneously, though, the prince has also spearheaded a pervasive crackdown on human rights activists and critics, culminating in the killing of a Saudi writer Jamal Khashoggi in the late 2018 in Turkey, an operation that stained the prince's reputation abroad. And now for story 10. China's Communist Party took American democracy to task on Saturday, sharply criticizing a global democracy summit being hosted by President Joe Biden next week and extolling the virtues of its governing system. Party officials questioned how a polarized country that botched its responses to COVID-19 could lecture others and said that the efforts to force others to copy the Western democratic model are doomed to fail. The harsh rhetoric reflects a growing clash of values that has been thrusted into the spotlight as China raises as a global power. The question is whether the United States and others leading the democracies can peacefully coexist with a powerful authoritarian state whose actions are at odds with the Western model that emerged victorious at the end of the Cold War. The pandemic exposed defects in the American system, said Tian Payan, the deputy director of the Communist Party Policy Research Office. He blamed the high COVID-19 death tolls in the United States on political disputes and divided governments from the highest to the lowest levels. Such democracy being not happiness but disasters to voters, he said at a news conference to release the government reports on what the Communist Party calls its form of democracy, which is formally under party control. Neither China nor Russia are among about 110 governments that has been invited to Biden's two-day virtual summit for democracy, which starts Thursday and will address strengthening democracy, defending against authoritarianism, corruption, and human rights. The participation of Taiwan as a self-governing democracy that China says should be under its rule has further angered Beijing. US China relations remain strained despite a virtual summit between Biden and Chinese leader Xi Jinping last month. The American president has reportedly framed differences with China in his broader call for the US and its allies to demonstrate that democracies can offer humanity a better path towards progress than atrocities. The Communist Party has ruled China single handedly since 1949. It says that various views are reflected through consult, consultative body and elected village and resident committees, but silences most public criticisms with censorship and sometimes arrest. Now for story 11. Lines of voters snaked around corners outside polling stations in Gambia capital Saturday as the nation holds a presidential election that for the first time in decades does not include former dictator Yahya Jammeh as a candidate. Polls opened to high turnouts, with many people lining up at the capital's Independence Stadium before sunrise. Nearly 1 million voters were expected to drop marbles into one of the six ballot bins, such adorned with the face and names of candidates. The candidates included incumbent President Adama Barrow, who defeated Gemma in 2016 while running as a candidate for the opposition coalition. Brower's challenger are former mentor and head opposition leader Osalnu Darbe of the United Democratic Party, Mama Kande of Gambia's Democratic Congress, Khalifa Salah of the People's Democratic Organization for Independence and Socialism, Abdali Ibrahima Jammeh of the National Unity Party, and Eza Mbaya Fall, former lead counsel of Gambia's Truth Commission, who is running under an independent ticket. Touring poll stations across the Serekunda area, Independent Electoral Commission Chair Aliyu Momar Naji expressed satisfaction with the voting process. He said election results would be announced by Monday. There is no system in the world better than us, Momar told reports. All the presidential candidates have vowed to strengthen the country's tourism dependent economy in the aftermath of the coronavirus pandemic, so fewer Gambonians feel compelled to travel the dangerous migration route to Europe. And now for story 12. A dentist in Italy faces possible criminal charges after trying to receive a coronavirus vaccine in a fake arm made of silicone. A nurse in the northern city of Bella Filippa Bao said she could tell right away that something was off when the man presented the phony limb for a shot on Thursday. When I uncovered his arm, I felt skin that was cold and gummy, and the color was too light, Boa told Italian newspaper Corriere della Sera. She said she initially thought that the 57-year-old man was an amputee and had mistakenly offered the wrong arm. She lifted his shirt and saw a silicone arm. I understood immediately that the man was trying to avoid a vaccination by using a silicone prosthetic into which he hoped I would inject the drug. Unaware, Bao said, the nurse said the man acknowledged he did not want the vaccine, but to obtain a super health pass, which from Monday will be required to enter restaurants, cinemas, theaters, and other venues in Italy. He had already been suspended from work because of his refusal to get vaccinated, which Italy requires from medical personnel. The nurse said the man was courteous and left the vaccination station after the failed attempt. We stopped and reflected, and we understood that this wasn't just a surreal situation, but a real attempt at fraud, Bao said. She and others at the vaccination site turned paperwork over to superiors so they could report the case, which has been given to the prosecutors. Now, a short break from the daily English news of Millennium News 24/7. Stay tuned.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to Millennium News 24/7 Daily Local News Update. Now, our story 13. Members of France's main conservative party are picking their presidential candidate Saturday, a decision that could significantly shape April's election. The head of Paris region, Valérie Pécresse, and the hardline lawmaker from Nick Eric Coyote are competing in a final round of the Republicans' primary. About 140,000 registered members of the Republicans are eligible to participate in the electronic voting. The results is to be announced later Saturday. Immigration and security emerged as top issues in the party's primary, largely because of another presidential candidate, far-right former TV pundit Eric Zemmour. Zemmour, an author and former journalist with multiple hate speech convictions, formally declared his candidacy this week in a video relaying anti-migrant, anti-Islam imagery. If elected by the party members and later by French voters, she vowed to break with the centrist policies of incumbent President Emmanuel Macron. Macron is expected to seek a second term, but he has yet to formally declare his candidacy. Pécresse said her first action as president will be to end France's 35-hour work week so employees work and earn more. She also has promoted a tough stance on immigration, saying that people who enter the country illegally should be deported. And now for story 14. Pope Francis warned Saturday that the easy answers of populism and authoritarianism threatens democracy in Europe and called for a fresh dedication to promoting a common good. Arriving in Greece, the birthplace of the democracy, Francis used a speech to Greek political and cultural leaders to address Europe at a large amount of threats facing the continent. He said only robust multilateralism can address the pressing issue of the day, from protecting the environment to fighting the pandemic and poverty. Politics need this in order to be common need ahead of private interest, Francis said. Yet we cannot avoid noting with concern how today, and not only in Europe, we are witnessing a retreat from democracy. Francis, who lived through the Argentina's populist Peronist era as well as its military dictatorship, has frequently warned about the threats of authoritarianism and populism and the dangers it poses in European unions and democracy itself. He didn't name any specific countries or leaders during his speech. The EU, however, is locked in a feud with members Poland and Hungary over rules of law issues. With Warsaw interest in Polish law takes precedence over EU policies and regulations. And now for story 15. The leaders of right-wing populist parties gathered Saturday in Warsaw to discuss how they can work together to bring change in European Union, which they accuse of acting like a superstate that is eroding the traditions and powers of the EU's 27 members nation. Jaroslaw Kaczynski, the leader of Poland's nationalist ruling party, opened the meeting, which also was attended by Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, French far-right leader Marine Le Pen, and the leader of Spain's Vox party, Santiago Abascal. The event, described as a summit, follows a visit by Le Pen to Budapest in October that was part of an effort by her and Orban to consolidate their European rights. Kaczynski said Saturday's meeting was intended to find common grounds and to increase cooperation at the EU level, though he acknowledged it would not be easy. As the meeting opened in the hotel, a small group of protesters outside below whistled and yelled accusations that the leaders were extremists serving the interests of the Kremlin. The demonstrators held signs saying Russian pact, and chanted Warsaw free from fascism. And now for story 16. Through the clouds of billowing dust, two men circle each other warily before one plunges forward, grabbing his rival's clothing, and after a brief struggle, deftly tackling him to the ground. The crowd array of a circle around them, some sitting on the ground, others standing or clambering onto the backs of rickshaws for a better view in a park in the Afghan capital, erupts in cheers. Victor and vanquished smile good naturally, embracing briefly before some of the spectators press banknotes into the winner's hand. The scene is one played out each week after Friday's prayers in a sprawling Chaman and Hazori Park in the downtown Kabul, where men, mainly from Afghanistan northern provinces, gathered to watch and to compete in a Palwani, a tradition form of wrestling. Although the Taliban, who took over Afghanistan in mid-August, had previously banned sports, when they ruled the country in the 1990s. Pahlavi has been accepted even then. Now, just over 3 months into their new rule of the country, a handful of Taliban police attended the Friday's matches as security guards. And this was the daily local news update of Millennium News 24/7. Log in to get the latest news. All of our social networking sites are Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. It is Millennium News 24. Also, our YouTube channel is News Channel M24. Viewers now on both network broadcasting Androids and iOS devices, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, also all smart TV platforms. Please enjoy our entertainment and the latest news and views. Our Millennium TV app is Millennium TV USA Android and Millennium News Google. You can also log on to www.millenniumtv24.com. Stay with Millennium News 24, and thank you for watching.